Okay. Okay. So I have been so excited for today's real news segment because it has been so wild. We officially now know that Snow White is in fact a flop. It grossed
We didn't know this
somewhere.
before?
Well, the official UK numbers have come in and they've officially reported their earnings for the film. We now know what the budget, we have official numbers. So it
Okay.
grossed somewhere in the ballpark of $205.7 million at the box office, and it cost $336.5 million to make. After the UK tax credits that they got, it brought it down the overall cost to somewhere in the ballpark of 270 million, which is significant from 330 million. Disney split the box office sales about 50-50 with the theaters. So this means that the movie roughly made $100 million, which means that they lost roughly $170 million, which is not their worst flop, but it's pretty bad.
I'm floored because I thought everyone knew that this was a flop already. I am not surprised at all that it flops. I haven't seen it, but I assume it wasn't very good.
Moving on, I feel like I'm the only one still following this saga, but this is like my reality TV at this point. The WBD acquisition war continues, Jason, and it is
I
getting
saw.
It is getting spicy though. So we talked in a previous episode about the possible pros and cons to both Netflix and Paramount acquiring Warner Brothers. Check out that episode if you're interested. We do a somewhat of a deep dive. So I'm going to talk about the update, which is that Paramount may snipe the deal from Netflix. So if you haven't been keeping up, Netflix and Warner Brothers had signed basically a formal agreement that as long as all of the legislative part of the deal works out, that Warner Brothers will sell to Netflix. So we've now had a Senate hearing, and this is essentially what happened. The Senate was concerned about the merger, and the debate turned into a very heated concern over market share, control, political agendas of the companies, both Warner Brothers and Netflix, and even Netflix's practice of offshoring production to other countries. This was all laid out in the open. Overall, the Senate felt that this deal raised a lot of legitimate antitrust concerns, but the deal is still being evaluated by the Department of Justice, and there's currently no indication about what will happen regarding the deal. Enter Paramount, who has been lobbying all kinds of different ways trying to get this deal, including a hostile takeover.
They're like the girlfriend that got broken up with and they refuse to let the bad boyfriend go. Like they're stalking his house late at night, they're keying his car, and they're just hoping that they'll scare off the new woman. This way he'll come back to her. Like they're going crazy over there.
And I think that that's like a really accurate way to describe it, but this newest offer is $30 per share, which was the original price that Warner Brothers had said, like anything below this they wouldn't entertain. So it's $30 per share in cash, which obviously is better than Netflix's current deal, which is $27.75 per share, which originally was cash and stock, but got upgraded due to pressure for the deal. Paramount has also offered an additional 25 cents per share for every quarter after December 31st that the deal doesn't close. The additional 25 cents per share would roughly come out to an additional $650 million per quarter, which is nuts. And they've also agreed to cover in its entirety the $2.8 billion termination clause in their current arrangement.
I think what's important here is there are two aspects of this. One, if either of these deals would clear the Department of Justice review. But the other part of this is what Paramount is pushing is that they are trying to claim that by taking the Netflix offer, the board is not doing their fiduciary responsibility to the shareholders by accepting the best value. Now, they have made this claim several times. The board for WB originally said, like, hey, look, we looked at it and we think that the Netflix deal, even though like the numbers shake out the way that they do, we think it's more plausible to close. That's why we think that it has more value, even though the numbers appear higher in certain ways with the Paramount deal. I mean, they're just trying to push this as part of, they really want those properties. And I get it. They have iconic properties. I've already come to terms with Netflix getting it. I can't keep doing this. My emotions, it's so emotional for me. Like all these beloved WB characters, they're gonna die. They're gonna go here. They're gonna come back here. They're gonna I can't handle it. I want this to be over. Like, can we just stop? Can we go fund me to keep WB just around on its own? Can we just do that?
So I might have some good news for you at the end of today's real news segment. But just closing out this Warner Brothers part of it, their official stance is that they are evaluating all options, but are currently sticking with the Netflix deal. This is a stark change from the outright and immediate refusal of all prior Paramount offers. So the bidding war could reignite.
I still want Comcast to swoop in and sweep WB off their feet and run away with the properties. Solely, if not for nothing else, but just this way I can get WB properties at Universal Studios, because that's my dream scenario.
That could be fun. Anyway, have you heard that Disney has sent a cease and desist letter to Seedance 2.0?
I did hear that, and
forget all about that, because
fan.
That news totally overshadowed this bigger and better news. Have you heard of Hollywood Guns for Hire?
No, what is that?
Okay, so I'm sure everybody has heard about the Seedance cease and desist letter, which came out, I think it was like last Friday. But this came out the day prior, and it's so crazy. Hollywood studios have allegedly invested in a private company called Light Bar, where they will hire bounty hunters, essentially, like internet bounty hunters, to hunt down companies engaged in AI infringement and report back so that action can be taken. The company's founder, who wants to stay anonymous for obvious reasons, originally created the company originally to go after Studio Ghibli infringement, which apparently has been a huge success and has attracted the attention of Hollywood studios. The most interesting component is that Light Bar is a crowdsourced company, meaning if you were so inclined, you could get involved and be a bounty hunter in this crusade against AI and make money doing it.
How well do they pay?
Bar, I don't know. It's so wild to me.
It sounds cool. I mean, are we talking? I don't know.
I don't know. I can't imagine.
We can't imagine film ourselves do that and do as the podcast. It's just us
hunting down AI infringement.
Yeah, dude, let's make a whole show. It could be like, remember that Dog the Bounty Hunter show where it's like basically a documentary of. Yeah, it took place in your backyard. It was like in Florida, I think, wasn't it? Or maybe it was Hawaii.
I'm so still new to Florida. I've only been here for a couple of years. I'm from New York.
There used to be a show called Dog the Bounty Hunter. This guy looked ridiculous. He looked like he looked as though he was like a WWF wrestler from the 80s. That's what he looked like. He was a bounty hunter. And, when someone would skip bond or skip bail, he would go find them and bring them in. And he had a whole show where cameras would just follow him around and then just drag them kicking and screaming if they needed to. I feel like we could do the whole thing, like play it up as dramatically, but just with us hunting down AI use.
It's real interesting. I mean, like, it's still early. I just got really excited about it because it's so farcical, but also like exactly what we need right now.
Yeah, something needs to be done. I mean, for anybody who didn't see that seed dance video, they have multiple videos now that they've put out where they're using the likeness, like spitting images of real life people. Like there's one of Tom Cruise and he's fighting Brad Pitt, and it's got his voice, their voices and their likeness, and they do a whole like 20-second scene, and this thing can produce very convincing images and videos for 20 seconds at a time. And you can look at this and go, oh wow, that's a really cool scene. And it is a cool scene, but it is absolutely theft. Nobody gave their permission for it. They are using all these things that they don't have the rights to, and we're just going to keep seeing more than this. And I think we've talked about AI so many times, but the theft is problematic, but also the fact that we're going to get to a spot where nobody knows what's real and what's not. I don't know. I don't want to go down the same road again, but hashtag made by humans. That I'll leave it at that.
That's been my stance about it the whole time, but yeah, we won't go down that road. But the road that we will go down, though, is Lightbar's goal. So Lightbar wants to aid in setting legal precedent. So right now, I'm sure you've all heard of the various lawsuits and cease and desist, because Disney's not the only one who's lobbied lawsuits against people. Disney has done it the most. They've done it against Midjourney, Character AI, Minimax, Google. They're suing anybody and everybody who's
which is
doing
ironic because they're the ones that made the deal with Sora to allow them to use their properties.
We're not going to get into the hypocrisy of it.
Okay.
But there are all these lawsuits that are going on, and the court system hasn't made any definitive rulings on any of it yet. They have loosely stated that AI content qualifies as infringement, but there are no penalties or consequences if you infringe upon IP holders in that way. So Lightbar is looking to push legal precedent forward and actually create a framework for what happens in these infringement cases. So Lightbar, cool company. If you want to be an internet bounty hunter, look them up.
Or if you want to sponsor our show, that's cool too. Yeah. We'll toot your horn.
This next story, I think, is pretty exciting because it involves little old ladies from Idaho.
Okay. I think you and I have very different ideas of what the word exciting means.
Hey man,
this is very exciting. It's little old ladies from Idaho.
When
they
was
better
the
be
last
juggling
time,
potatoes or something.
Dude, when was the last time you heard of a little old lady being involved in anything from Idaho or anywhere? This is just wild to me. So everyone is stealing TV, which, if you've been following news about piracy, that's on the rise for very obvious reasons. The number one being cost. But Jason, let me ask you. Wouldn't you like free TV for life?
Maybe
for life, Jason.
What am I giving up for?
I feel like this is one low lifetime payment of $200. You can have everything you can think of, every TV show ever made, every movie, live events, any channel you want to watch. You could have all of that at your fingertips. All for one bundle price. What would you say?
Does the bundle include prison bars? Because I feel like there's a horrible catch coming. $200 sounds like a great deal, though, if there's no catch.
There is this sort of quote unquote loosely defined black market that is arising for semi-legal streaming TV boxes. So this is like a
semi-legal.
Okay, but don't get ahead of me here. There's something called the Super Box and the VC Box. These are bootleg devices that are technically legal to purchase and own. But wait, you said semi-legal. Right, hold your horses. I'm getting there. For one payment ranging from $200 to $400, you can get one of these boxes and you will have free, permanent, and unlimited access via illegal streaming services to every channel, show, movie, and live events that are on the net. Now, for obvious reasons, media companies don't like this, and Dish Network has sued major sellers and won millions in damages thus far. However, it has apparently done very little to hamper the supply because there's just no lack of demand for these things, and you would be dumb not to continue finding ways to sell it, which makes sense.
We do not condone piracy. We do not condone piracy.
It's not piracy. They're legal to own. They're legal to own.
I'm covering our bases, Morgan. I'm just covering our bases.
Reporting the news, Jason. So, all of this makes sense because subscribing to even a handful of streaming platforms, as we all know, is legitimately impossible because it costs $1 billion, let alone cable and live TV services, which are well, until recently, those were separate. They're more and more starting to become part of streaming services, but it's egregiously expensive now. But there are risks, as Jason pointed out. There are some risks to buying one of these super boxes or
ending
VC
up in the
boxes.
clink. Yeah.
The primary risk is more so that these are jailbroken devices, so there are security and privacy risks to hooking it up to your own private home network. I think that's the biggest risk. Another potential risk that hasn't been exploited to this point, but very well could be, is that you potentially risk being directly sued by media companies or having your internet service suspended. Because as we all know, piracy is illegal. So as Jason was saying, don't pirate. But this is a very interesting thing that is happening. And back to the beginning of the story, the main people who are reselling these boxes are little old church ladies in Idaho.
No! It's nothing sacred.
It's like wild. Like you can get hooked up with one of these things by just heading down to your local church and just talking to the little old ladies.
That's crazy.
So anyway, I do have one little bit of good news that I would like to share before we close out this week's real news segment, which is Cartoon Network cartoons are coming to Tubi. So if you grew up in the golden age of cartoons like I did, we can all rejoice that starting March 1st, Warner Brothers will be partnering with Tubi and begin streaming old cartoons on the Tubi platform. So shows like Animaniacs, Ben 10, Scooby-Doo, Teen Titans, The Batman will all be coming to Tubi. They released a full list of what's coming on their X page. So if you don't have Tubi, get Tubi today. It's free. So there's no reason not to enjoy these cartoons.
We're also not sponsored by Tubi, but like, I mean, Morgan's waxing poetic about it. So if Tubi wants to sponsor it, I mean,
Tubi, if you want to sponsor us, I will do beautiful ads for you. But anyway, I don't have anything else for you guys. So that's what I got. Now go out and ride about it.